Texx, just I'll give a brief history of my relationship with Texx. I posted a YouTube video about you on my website when you showed off your gun collection, and on YouTube, and I kind of mocked you a little bit, but in good humor, you responded, and we've actually had a very interesting conversation come up, and it's been very good to know you and talk to you. So thank you again for agreeing to this interview.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, Texx, you're a gun owner yourself, correct?
What's that?
You are an avid gun collector, is that correct?
Yes, well, I have 2 guns. I won't say I'm an avid gun collector, but yes, I have 2 guns.
All right. Now, as a gun owner, what is your reaction to the shooting in Illinois?
Well, it's really tragic. I feel really bad for all the victims, the people who were shot, who were killed. But those things happen. I mean, you have crazy people in this world, and unfortunately, tragedies like that will happen. It's a sad thing.
Yes, it is very unfortunate that happens. A lot of people, of course, are blaming the guns and the gun laws in your country as to why this shooting happened in the first place. What is your response to that?
Okay, well, I can certainly understand that some people are going to have that type of reaction. I don't think so. I disagree with that. I mean, if you ban guns, if you take away guns from honest citizens, the criminals tend to still get guns.
Yes.
That's the way it is. So it would have happened anyway. I mean, one thing I think, if more people would have been armed in that classroom, and that shooter would have known that, maybe he would have had second thoughts, perhaps, if he known that somebody might have fired back at him. But then again, if that was the case where he committed suicide, so it might have not, and you just don't know. But those are my thoughts there.
So you're not convinced then that stricter gun laws are the answer?
No, absolutely not.
If
if you have more armed people, if you have more people who are armed, and therefore perhaps maybe they could have taken the guy out before more people were killed.
There is some statement about that of course there wasn't much, although they had upped their security at this particular place, there was no gun-free zone, and no one was checking bags. I mean, essentially, anyone can walk in there and shoot anyone they wish. And I know I heard one interview on the news where someone was saying that having that kind of situation with the kids not being allowed to carry guns into school is basically just setting up the kids to be shot. Your thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with that. That is indeed. Of course, you don't really expect it. In a college campus, in a school situation, you're going to get that. And fortunately, it's not really a huge problem, but unfortunately, tragedies like that do happen, and it's a bad thing.
Now, here's the thing. I watched on the NRA website, and when the incident first broke, and this may have changed since then, but on the NRA website, that's the National Rifle Association, on the NRA website, there was no mention of the tragedy, no condolences left. It didn't seem as if they were paying too much attention. Were they trying to duck the issue a little bit there, do you think, or was that just an oversight?
I haven't checked the NRA website lately. I really can't comment on what they think. I haven't checked their website lately. But really, you think that somebody there would indeed mention something about it.
Well, I would have thought so too, but apparently in the hours after the tragedy, there was nothing on the NRA website to say, well, we're really sorry about this. And maybe that's because they don't care, because they don't foresee their correlation. I mean, after all, the saying goes, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Maybe they don't foresee that there's a link between the firing of the shotgun and the pistol and their organization.
Well, I think they're right there. I mean, like I said before, you're always going to have crazy people in the world. It's an unfortunate thing. I mean, if you ban guns, you're not going to get rid of all the crazy people.
That's true. You are not going to get rid of all the crazy. They're going to find a way, as you said, one way or the other, to kill people if that's their motivation.
But I think it would have been appropriate if they would have said something about it on their website. But like I said, I haven't been to their website in quite a while.
Right. So where do you place the blame, Texx?
Well, I place the blame solely on the individual there. I mean, on the crazy guy. I mean, he seemed pretty normal. People said that they didn't see any signs or anything, nothing wrong with him. But then all of a sudden he does that. Well, really, who else can you put the blame on except that individual himself?
So you blame the shooter?
Yes.
Right. So, and you don't think about any of this stuff that the gun owners are to blame? It's the Second Amendment that's at fault? You don't?
Certainly not at all.
No. Okay. Have you had?
If the school wants to take better security measures to try to keep that type of thing from happening, and certainly they're in their prerogative to do so.
Right, and that's sort of not what they've done in this situation. There was a security threat, and they said they increased their security around the campus, and then they kind of went back and didn't do it. It kind of strikes you as being strange.
Yeah, I have to say so. I wasn't really aware of that, but yeah.
Yeah, there were some threats made before. I guess what it comes down to is, would you be a supporter then of the students being able to carry guns on campus?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you had some students who knew how to shoot, who had arms in that classroom, perhaps they could have taken action against the guy before more people were killed.
And then that might have added a bit of a deterrent. Instead, what happened is, well, nothing. The shooter came in, shot 20 people, killed 5, and nothing was really solved.
He took his own life afterwards, though.
Yes.
And one other thing to note, though, was that the guy had stopped taking his medication and started acting erratic in the 2 weeks before it led up to that.
Yes, that's true. Makes you kind of wonder what the story with that is, why that was happening again. I mean, there's so many different ways you can blame that on this. So many different ways you can look at this and say, well, this is the problem, this is the problem. This is one of those things where you know for sure that the anti-gun people are going to come out in force and try and discredit the sort of those of you who possess guns and the people who are, I guess, pro-NRA, that kind of thing. It does kind of...
Absolutely, and I agree. It happens every time.
What is your response to them?
Well, but you have to remember that if you have a well-armed society, I mean, a person who's shooting like that, random, trying to kill people, cannot look in every direction at the same time. If that person is aware that other people, anybody else could be armed, he might think twice before he does something like that, because you never know which direction a responding return shot could come from. You can't look in every direction at the same time.
Yes, that's true. Now, I guess the next question is, do you get personally upset when people accuse gun owners of being responsible for this tragedy?
No, but I used to. I don't really get too personally upset because I kind of expect it. I mean, it happens every time something like that happens. It's kind of an expected thing for me that people will react like that.
Yeah, I guess it must get on your nerves, but after a while you kind of get through with it. Because I've heard some people, saying a lot of things on forums and such, who I don't know they're really thinking these things through or not. I mean, I certainly, pardon me, I certainly don't think that the answer is banning weapons in your country. I mean, the Second Amendment is constitutional. I think it's hard to get around that. But how do you explain the fact that there seem to be more of these kind of shootings happening all the time in the States, not so much here in Canada, where we have no such gun law?
Okay, well, in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, guns are pretty much banned completely in Canada, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay, well, that is a factor right there. Well, we have gun laws, we have gun freedom in the United States because of the Second Amendment, because the founders of the country have decided that the right to keep bear arms was a basic right among people, as well as the freedom of speech and everything. And the issue there is that there are certain limits that they place on government, and one of the limits is that the government cannot confiscate your gun.
Right.
It's an issue of freedom and liberty.
Right. Would you say then that America is more free than Canada?
In that regard, yes. I did read there was a study done by the Libertarian Party, or there was a study I saw published that actually Canada right now is more economic freedom than the United States, which that kind of surprises me. It depends on the issue.
I guess there is some balance there one way or the other. And a lot of Canadians, I think, are willing to deal with a little bit less freedom in that sense, to have less school shootings, although I'm not certain that the two naturally correlate.
And there are some schools now, and since that's happened, you have some schools that have metal detectors and they have more security procedures in place against that type of thing.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Texx, I guess as a final question to you then, I mean, I think this has been a very interesting conversation. It's been very fascinating to talk to you about this subject. I think it's been very interesting. I guess your final comments are, do you think we're going to see more of these kind of shootings in the future?
Unfortunately, yes. I think we will see more of them. It's a tragic thing, but it's just, you get some crazy people out there in the world. And as long as you have crazy people, then yes, unfortunately, such things will continue to happen.
Yeah. And I guess the gun movement, those gun owners are always going to have to listen to those anti-gunners who will blame you for the tragedy.
Oh, of course, yes.
I guess that's the price of owning a weapon, I guess, and having that law.
There's always a price for freedom.